Everyone, welcome to TY Hub Live. Today we're in the Irish Air Corps, live from the Flying Training School here in Casement Aerodrome in Baldonnel, County Dublin. We're delighted here to be having an exclusive chat with the Air Corps about the 3 different pathways into careers here in Baldonnel. We're going to have 2 breaks during the webinar. It's total of 3 hours. We have a break at 10 o'clock and then one again at quarter past, or one again at 11 o'clock. We are live. This is a working hangar, so you might see a couple of people walking by, working away in the background, and some noise as well. So I'm going to apologise for any noises that you hear in advance. When we're having the breaks, they're usually to help out with the class changes or teacher changes. During these 2 breaks, we have some informative videos from the Air Corps about the different choices of careers that you can have here, and some really, really cool video footage of being up in an airplane as well. So fasten your seatbelts and enjoy the sky-high adventure with TY Hub here in Casement Aerodrome. First up, we're joined by Captain Owen Stanley, Sergeant Jason Lynch, and Captain Colin Tracy. Welcome and thanks for joining me here this morning.
Thanks for coming out to us.
So it's all fun.
Yeah.
So we'll start with yourself, Captain Stanley. You work in the personnel here in the Air Corps.
That's Captain Tracy, works in the personnel office.
Oh, you do? Right, sorry. Now, we should have gotten that done at the very start. That happens when I get 2 captains put in front of me, I suppose.
All right, yeah.
So from the different uniforms, I'm also guessing that it's different aircrafts that you would fly then.
Different roles, different
roles,
jobs.
yeah.
Different aircraft, yeah.
We'd all interchange our uniforms depending on what job we're doing on any given day.
Okay,
so
I'll skip you then.
Yeah.
So with the Air Corps, we have 3 pathways into careers here, and it's not just a career per pathway. Each pathway has different careers there as well.
Right. Yeah.
Can you tell us a bit about how to join the Air Corps? What's the process, and what is the first thing that they meet when they join?
Yeah, so I suppose that every candidate, the first contact they have with the Defence Force is via the website. So it's military.ie. There are 3 main ways into the Air Corps. That is our general service recruitment pathway, our TMAST pathway, which is our technicians that actually maintain our aircraft, and our cadetship, which is for our pilots. So for general service, a person applies via the website. There are some screening questions, and you fill in your details, and there's a psychometric testing that you do online first. After that, then if you're successful at psychometric stage, you're invited here to Baldonnel, where you'll do a fitness test and an interview. And if you're successful at that stage, you're invited back then for a medical screening. After that, then if you get through all those stages, you're called back again for attestation, and that's when your training commences then as a general service recruit.
And do they start with their recruit trainings right here in Baldonnel, or is there a new way, or is there a different way of doing it?
That changes. So sometimes the recruit platoons are run here in Baldonnel. Other times they may be run in our joint induction training centre in Gormanston, County Meath, or it could be in the Curragh. It just depends where we have a recruit platoon starting at that time.
And does every recruit start the same way?
For our general service recruit, it's the same across the board. Once you're in, then once you get through that initial training, you can then apply to go into any of the different roles we have in the Air Corps. So the likes of our helicopter rear crew, our fixed wing flight attendants, our fire crews, cooks, medics, logistics, drivers, security, everything, all the different roles we have on the airbase. You must complete that initial general service recruitment training first to qualify you as a soldier to work here, and then you can apply to go into any of those areas.
Yeah. And then TMAST is new, or well, it's not new, but it's just a new name. And
it's just a new name. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And that's to become a trainee military aircraft systems technician.
Exactly,
that is a mouthful. So
good job.
Thank God we've shortened it to TMAST.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you see what we've done.
And has that started yet? Has that come into action?
That competition is currently open. So yeah, the selection procedure is a slight bit different, but you still apply via the website. All the information is there on the website on military.ie. Same idea with psychomotor testing or psychometric testing, etc. Fitness test. And those candidates would also go through some military training first, and then they kick into their technician training.
When you say psychometric test, that sounds probably a lot scarier than it really is.
Yeah.
Can you explain what that actually is?
Yeah, no problem. So once you apply on the website, you fill in your details, you'll be sent an email, and we work with a company called MindMill, and they send you a link to their site, basically, where you carry out this psychometric test. And all it is, it's a couple of questions. It takes about 45 minutes to an hour, so set aside an hour to do it. You need a good Wi-Fi connection. That's crucial for everything these days. But basically, the questions are based on verbal reasoning, numerical reasoning, orientation, error detection, things like that. So you're given various statements, and you have to just answer what like true or false, or the different kind of numeracy ability basically is assessed. What's important to note though with the psychometric testing is that speed and accuracy are equally important. So there's no point in only attempting 10 of the questions and getting all 10 correct and not doing the remaining 50 questions.
Okay.
You need its speed and accuracy are of equal importance.
And I know there's some career guidance counsellors and teachers that are going to hate me for saying this.
Oh, yeah.
Not like doing your exams in school where you can just answer the quick ones and the ones that are going to give you the more points. You have to answer all the questions.
You have to try and get through them all. Yeah, speed and accuracy are equal weighting. Yeah.
Is there anything in particular that people that are interested in it, because the psychometric test is for each pathway, isn't it?
Correct. Yeah.
Does it vary for the different careers?
Yeah. So each pathway would have a slightly different psychometric test, with different kind of weighting depending on which pathway you're coming in.
Okay.
And the cadetship entry process, for example, would have a psychometric test, but it also has psychomotor testing. And you also do a little test in the simulator here in the aircraft simulator. So the different pathways do have slightly different kind of requirements, but that's all explained on the website as well. So,
super.
Yeah.
So I grilled you enough there.
That's all right.
You work as part of the general service yourself. Sergeant Lynch.
It is, yeah.
See, I'm going to keep tripping up over this now between two captains and a sergeant. But so bear with me. But you work as part of the general service. What is your role within, or what did you come into as?
So I started off as a general service, so as a private in a battalion that no longer exists, and then I was an infantryman for 6 years, and then transferred over to the Air Corps. I've been air crew, survival instructor, and now I'm a military training instructor. So whenever anyone joins up, I'm one of the first person they meet, and I bring them right through that journey from their 2-star training after the initial inductee to when they pass out and become qualified airmen or apprentices on the TMAST scheme.
So it doesn't matter who they are or what pathway they are; they'll come through you in the military training school, in the general service and the TMAST.
Yeah,
then, is it? Yeah.
Both. So both have to be trained as effective military personnel first. Their basic skills to work in the air component, and then once they pass, they'll go on to their general service stream, air traffic controller, refueler, whatever it may be, and then the rest go on to the apprentice school and become technicians eventually.
And from you said from the 2-star upwards, they come in here. So how long does it actually take to do the 2-star training?
It's a 12-week course. So it's a robust course. It's residential. They live in here for 12 weeks, with weekends off, of course, to enjoy themselves. But for those 12 weeks, they're trained in everything from physical fitness, so we get them up to a high standard, counter ID, which is for explosives for overseas, survival training, all weapons training and basic infantry skills, to even down to flight safety, which is how we keep our aircraft and personnel safe in Baldonnel. So it's a multifaceted, very nuanced, a lot of stuff to do, and they learn a lot of skills from it in those 12 weeks.
It's really important with all the machinery around, and even walking around on the base, to be aware of health and safety at all times. When you joined first, you said that your battalion is no longer a battalion, so you came in through the army. So there isn't another way to get to the Air Corps. You can come a little bit longer. You can go through the army as well.
If you're lucky, yeah. No, but that is one way of doing it. But I suppose joining straight into the Air Corps is a better option. Like, I enjoyed my time in the army, but it's a better option. I have to say that. So, yeah.
And you've been in here in Baldonnel how long?
Since 2013.
Wow. Okay. So 11 years.
Yeah,
Did
so
that maths really quick, didn't I?
yeah, I couldn't even. I was just going to say I wasn't even going to attempt to give that, but yeah, so yeah, but an interesting career here as well. You do a lot of things in Baldonnel as general service, a little bit different than technician.
Yeah.
So you get a chance to do multiple things. I've been air crew, as I said, survival instructor, an instructor. I've worked in training and management. I've worked in our gender diversity office. So multifaceted, so many things to do. So it's great opportunities for everyone.
Awesome. And there is so many different careers within the general service.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to go back to the uniform change here with yourself, Captain Stanley. So you're wearing the pilot uniform, correct?
I'm wearing what we call service dress number 2.
Okay.
So at the minute, I'm mainly office based. So anyone who generally is working in an office wouldn't be out and about as much.
Okay.
Will be wearing this attire. Now, on any given day, that uniform could change. I could be like the lads here, and I could be in my what we call DPMs or combat gear as well.
So you get down and dirty.
Down and dirty. You have to
yeah.
lead by example as well, so you have to do that. But yeah. So my role is officer commanding the military training school. So my main responsibility is having oversight of all the military training that's ran in the Air Corps. So that's from your initial inductee training that Sergeant Lynch spoke about. That's from your what we call 2 to 3 star training or air progression course.
Yeah.
And that's for that progresses on then for like your first step in the leadership ladder, which we call a potential officers course, or sorry, potential NCOs course, and standard NCOs courses. To put that in perspective, what that is like is for the teachers out here, it's when you come on as a teacher and you might move to an AP2 or you might move to an AP1 all the way up to vice principal. So I have oversight for all the training for the people involved in that.
Okay, fantastic. And how did you come through the army, or did you come
No,
directly into the Air Corps?
Not at all. So I came in as a fresh-faced 17-year-old in 2001. So this is my 23rd year in the Air Corps, and I've always been in the Air Corps. I actually joined. I did my leaving cert in June, and I joined here in October. And I joined as what is now the TMAST. So my dad was a mechanic,
Okay.
and we were always working on always working with my hands. Much like what is happening here, my school principal held a careers day when we were in 6th year. There was people from the Air Corps come out and spoke, and helicopters seemed something that was really, really cool to me. It was something different.
Yeah.
And I had that bit of mechanical aptitude, and I found out more about it, researched more about it, got a visit to Baldonnel, and I applied for it. So I spent my first 4 years here training as a TMAST. It was an apprenticeship at the time, but it's TMAST now. From there, then once I completed my training, I went into 303 Squadron, which is just a helicopter unit, and I was a maintenance technician, and I spent about 7 years there. So working hands-on, doing everything from changing oil to changing engines on helicopters. And then as I progressed through my career, I moved into our technical training school as an instructor. So much like an engineer and teacher in school, I was doing a lot of the hands-on practical work with our trainee technicians.
Okay.
From there, then I moved into what we call our Military Aviation Authority, which is governance and oversight of all the aircraft here to make sure that everything we're doing is done right and done safe. We are working in a military airport. You can't pull over at 10,000 feet if anything goes wrong. So we need to make sure that everything is streamed correctly and done professionally. I then moved into a technical services department. So that was like effectively the maintenance planning of the aircraft. So if you think about your car, it reaches so many kilometers or miles, it has to come in for an oil change of service. Well, with aircraft, it's the exact same. They work on hours. So every hour they fly, that builds up, and there's a certain amount of checks. So I was responsible for making sure all those checks were done. From there, I progressed up the ladder, say from an AP1 position to a vice principal position, almost to a principal position where I am now. I completed what's called a potential officers course, and that's why I am now an officer commanding of the military training school. And that's my career in a few minutes. 23 years.
I would like you said it in less than 23 minutes.
It's almost like it's almost like 5 different careers in one time, which is brilliant. And that's probably the reason I've stayed so long. People say you're 23 years in this job, but I've had 4 or 5 different jobs in that 23 years. It just happens to be in the Air Corps. And for me, that's why I love my job so much, because there's always diversity. There's always something different to do.
That, I mean, like, that's something that, you know, if you're going into a career as an accountant or anything, you're kind of stuck doing. Nah, that really does sound bad, but you are kind of like stuck doing the same numbers game all of the time, where or you change careers. Like myself, I've probably changed career about, I don't know, way too many times. But I've worked from working in a restaurant right up through to owning a, you know, working in a shop, working on weddings, and here I am working with TYs. So in the Air Corps, it's fantastic. But there's all different ways of going through life. It's not just when you're finishing up school, this is what you're going to do for the rest of your life. And it's fantastic that you're able to do that within a system and within a career, have so many different jobs and so many different options as well.
That's what the Air Corps gives you. And like I've listed probably 4 jobs there, 5 jobs. There's 50 different jobs you can do. And it's the diversity of that. Like, and we do most of our training in-house. So we have those capabilities here as well. So generally people these days, I know they move career much more often than they used to. When I joined first, it was all about a good, stable government job. My parents would have really pushed that. But nowadays, from speaking with the transition year students that come into us for a work experience, like they want that diversity. They want the option to be able to change. They want to be able to change roles every 2, 3, 4 years. And we can offer that here in the Air Corps. Absolutely can.
Fantastic. I never asked you about your own career. Actually.
Yeah, so I joined.
So how did you get to where you are today? Did you think about that one?
It's not my story isn't as long as Owen's now.
You're much younger.
I applied to join the Defence Force in 2015.
Right.
Via the website. I applied for cadetship. So I spent my first 10 months down in the Defence Forces Training Centre in the Curragh, in the cadet school there. So that's where cadets do their initial military training.
Okay, yeah.
So all the same kind of things that Sergeant Lynch mentioned. And then after that, I came back here to Baldonnel and commenced the Aviation ground school training. That takes approximately just under a year. And then following that, I commenced our flying training then on the PC-9 aircraft here. So I spent a year flying that then as a cadet. And I eventually was commissioned in 2018 then and qualified as a pilot. So after that, I applied to do the helicopter conversion course. Because after your cadetship, you're qualified on fixed wing aircraft.
Right.
If you want to go flying helicopters, you have to do a conversion course. So I was a bit of a glutton for punishment and went straight onto another course to convert over to helicopters. So that course took just under a year as well. So it was the end of 2019 then I was fully qualified as an operational helicopter pilot.
Okay.
So I spent a year in 302 Squadron flying the 135 helicopter, EC-135 heli. And then after that, I transferred over to the AW-139 helicopter, which is the larger of our helicopters in the fleet. And I've been operational on that helicopter ever since. I've done an awful lot of our emergency air medical service. So that's our EAS helicopter. Is a helicopter we have based in Athlone 365 days a year, and it responds to 999 calls effectively for car crashes or farming accidents, industrial accidents. So basically, if you dial 999 and you request an ambulance, the call center will decide if this is an appropriate task to assign a helicopter to, and we're on immediate notice to move. So that's what I've been working at for the past number of years, you know.
And then you went into the office.
Yeah. So at the moment now, I am working in the personnel office. Yeah. So similar to what Owen was saying, you know, you get an awful lot of variety in this job. So I'm in the personnel office at the moment now, working on recruitment. You know, we've got a couple of different competitions open at the moment. So we're just trying to get the word out there.
Time
it is absolutely
for the personnel.
absolutely.
Because general service is open the competition or applications.
Yeah, that's
so it's known as a competition online.
Exactly.
Through the Defence Forces. That's open a few times a year, isn't it?
So general service is open all the time.
Okay.
So you can apply for general service recruitment anytime. And we would have recruitment platoons starting every couple of months. But you can apply and come through the recruitment process at any point. And then our TMAST and our cadetship competition are usually once a year.
Once a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So at the moment we have the TMAST open
Yes.
and the cadetship, so it's
Yes.
definitely busy.
It's all
But
open at the
last
moment.
week was a really busy week here as well,
Yeah.
because here in this hangar, in Hangar 1, we had the wing ceremony.
Wing ceremony, yeah. Yeah.
So and on the Wednesday, that was on Friday, and on the Wednesday there was the cadets all
Commissioning.
passed out
Yeah,
in the
the
chorus.
commissioning,
So
yeah,
that massive celebrations all around.
Absolutely, yeah.
Great. So it's more new people coming through for us, and like for me, I take real pride in that. Just seeing more people coming through every year, and people still want to join the military, and you know, completion of that training for the individual is a really proud moment. Like what they would have learned about motivation, working under pressure, teamwork, and as we were chatting about earlier ourselves, the friends you make for life,
Yeah.
is incredible. Like I trained with
The process to get there. What size was your class?
So my Air Corps cadet class, there was 8 of us.
8.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So they're
Wow.
small
So
numbers for the pilot cadetships. Yeah.
And how many personnel work in the Air Corps now? Because it's not just military. It's like it's not just pilots and team or technicians
Yeah.
and general service. You also have civil
There's
service
a lot of
jobs
civilian
as
staff
well.
here as well. Yeah, working in our hangars and in our offices. Yeah, we've got civilian staff too. So on any one day, there's approximately 750 people working here.
Okay.
You know, so
and I believe that even when you retire, some of them come back.
Yeah. We can't get enough of the place. Yeah.
I mean, like a stat or fixing stuff around the house, I suppose.
Yeah,
So it's whether they want to do it or the other halves want them to fix the house when they get home. But it's the knowledge and the experience that they're able to then bring back as well, isn't it?
It's
So
huge, yeah.
you've mentioned teamwork. You've mentioned teamwork as well. Like it is. But it's not just teamwork. There's teams within. So there's clubs, there's sports, there's car fanatics within so different clubs as well.
There's miniature communities in it, so there's so many. Whatever skills you have, whether it's piloting or, as I said, the survival stuff, everyone keeps together, shares knowledge, and becomes friends, and it's a great thing to be a part of. Like,
and it doesn't matter where you are.
No,
you're all stuck. Don't want to use that word really, but you're all here based in the same, and that's it as well. Like when you go for the army, you go for you have the Joint Training Centre up in Gormanston, but that's not where you're going to stay. So you can go to anywhere. You can go to Limerick, Cork, Donegal, anywhere. Whereas you join the Air Corps, you know where you're going.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot to be said for that. Like, and I suppose when we train our own guys or we don't train our own guys, when they come to us, they're with us. They're part of the Air Corps team instantly.
Yeah.
So the tacit education probably starts here and it stays here, and it's great because, as I alluded to earlier, when you see new people coming through, like in 20 years' time, they're the people that are going to be sitting here doing these podcasts and feeding in that information, what they've learned. It's a really good thing that we can keep everyone here. Like we have our pilots here, we have our technicians here, we have our air crew here, we have our SARO experts here, we have our survival instructors here, military training instructors here. It's all in-house. It's very important to us.
When you're finished the military training school side of things, or the MTS, as I've gotten very used to MTS, I've gotten very used to all the abbreviations now, and I'm still wondering what some of them are, but we won't get into that. So you see SEER, you see SARO, you see all the different abbreviations, and it's like a second language.
Yeah,
you know,
it's a new language,
but when you're finished in the MTS, you go to your various departments. How does it work for the general service? So I know with the cadets, you go to your fixed wing or your rotor wing, and I hear an aircraft taking off there now. So I go, moved on. That's great. Might fly over us now in a second and get a bit noisy again, but it is constantly. It's lovely to see how busy it is.
It's a busy place.
But you from the cadetship, then you go to your flying training school. Then you go on to your fixed wing, so PC9, PC12,
Exactly, Casa, Learjet.
Casa, the Learjet. God, if I could think of any other.
Yeah.
And then you have the three different types of rotary wing.
Yeah, we've
as
got
well.
rotary wing aircraft then as well. So the AW139 or the EC135 in two different
I'm never
variants.
going to remember all these
Yeah.
numbers.
There's a lot there.
Remember models of cars.
I know. How many units are there?
So we've got 2 main flying units and then 2 main support units.
Okay.
And within those units, there's a number of different squadrons. So that's a complex question as well. And then on top of that,
it back. I'm not
yeah,
gonna-
It's like your science department in school.
Yeah.
Which will have biology, physics, and chemistry.
yeah,
yeah.
correct.
Well, our science department could be helicopter squadron, and within that you've got what we would call 303 squadron, 302 squadron, which just denotes the type of helicopter that's flown
Okay,
in
right,
that type of
okay, yeah,
squadron. But like it can be overwhelming for a lot of people when they come trying to learn this new language, but it's not something to get tied down to. It just
comes
naturally
very
picks
natural
up.
after.
Yeah.
I mean, like even if you're in here, like I'd say if you're only training a week,
Yeah, it becomes the
you're
norm.
hearing
It's
it
yeah,
all the
all the
time.
time,
You
all
know,
the time,
so
yeah.
you never don't need the second language in
It-
school.
it-
Like
yeah.
foreign language, you should
Aviation
training
has
how
its
to
own
use it.
language,
Yeah.
absolutely does.
And with the general service, then you've so many different careers or jobs within that as well. So we've just gone through what the fixed wing and the rotary wing, and I'm sorry I asked that question.
That's all right.
Because now my mind is blown even more. But when you're finished your military training, so you have your 12 weeks in Gormanston, then you come here and you do another
12
weeks
here, yeah.
as well, yeah. And then you go off. So how do you pick where you're going to go? Because like you said,
Yeah.
there's cooks, there's
Hmm.
fire, there's rear crew. There's so many different.
So essentially, we have a platoon at the moment of 3 stars about to pass out on the 31st of May. And what they'll do now is they'll go off and do an order of preference of what units they'd like to go to. And how they decide on that is each unit comes down and tries to sell their unit to the guys. So number one,
a mini recruitment day
Yeah.
within.
so helicopter pilots and crew will come down and say our unit is the best, and etc. etc. Fixed wing, everyone will do the same. Now, obviously, the
Like
training
NFL
unit is actually the best. But so they do that. They put a list together of their order of preference, and then it goes up to our personnel section, our G1 as it's called. And then hopefully, and most of the time it is, they go to the unit that they had a preference on. And then they start the career there. And once you get into your main unit, you'll be taken under the wing of some NCOs and officers, and your career can progress whichever way you want, essentially. So there's so many options.
So many options.
Yeah.
So it's a bit like you also end up doing work experience then for the summer after, or for a couple of weeks after you're finished your training then
Not
as
far
well
off,
to see
like-
where you go.
You talk about the diverseness of the roles, like Sergeant Lynn said there, like we've got huge IT departments and cybersecurity departments there, and when we talk about order of preference of where you'd like to go, so it kind of follows from the school leavers who are, say, more mechanically minded tend to veer towards the areas that offer that. The people who are more IT minded tend to go to our communications information system department, and you kind of have a natural inkling of where you want to go based on kind of your own interests and stuff as well.
Do you need to have an interest before you come into the Air Corps? Do you
No.
need to know what you want?
No.
No.
That's the best thing. It's probably, if you don't know what to do, it's probably the best place to come. 'Cause we'll find something for you that will suit you. And as I said, you give it 3 or 4 years, you can always chop and change your career as you go along.
Okay, yeah.
It's a
And
great
it doesn't
thing to
matter
have.
where you are within. So if you come in as general service, you can move up.
Oh, yeah,
As
you can
well.
move around, move up
Yeah.
anywhere. So
Okay.
you're not stuck anywhere. So if you go to a unit and it's not for you and you don't have the aptitude for it, you're just not interested, it's not difficult when you first come in to change.
Yeah, yeah.
And you can do so many things. You can even do work experience as a cook if you want to try, or if you want to go to number 3 and fix helis, or sorry, not fix helis, but work as crewman or whatever. You could just move around.
There's a real there's a mentoring process we have in the Air Corps. So we've got people who've trained as qualified professional mentors, and most of us have them at every level. Like
Okay.
like I know I've spent time in different units that I had an inkling that I had an interest in. I maybe wanted to work in that area, and time is always facilitated. Okay, you're going to spend maybe 2 or 3 months here, see if you get a feel for it, get a flavor for it, see if you like it, and that doesn't always happen, but
Okay.
there is a facility for that to happen. So it's great from that perspective.
So we did do a little questions before we came on air with some of the skills. Some of the skills have come back to us, but we actually have, should mention, we have live questions as well. So what, if you have any questions, pop it in a comment, and our team, lovely Zoe, will write them down and pop them over to us. As we're live, we can ask your questions as well. So do mention as well where you're from. You can leave out your name if you want to, but you can tell us what school you're with. So we have a few questions from schools. They actually did mention who they are. So from St. Declan's Community College in Waterford, Michael Malidi, Programme Coordinator, has got a question of what experience do you need to have in advance, or a lot of the career guidance counsellors have asked the same kind of questions, like in school, what do they need to do for their education to go for? Do they need to have specific classes or courses done in school to get in? So you know the way when you're going to college, you need to have the CAO form.
Yeah.
We're now not talking about CAO form. Are we talking about points? Do you need to have points, or do you have, how does that work for you? Because we do actually not just have leaving, or TY is watching us today.
Right.
We actually have some leaving certs as well. So, you know, there's your, get your recruitment employee in here now, like, you know, do your sales pitch. But they're all wondering, like, you know, what do they need to do now? And even those that are in fifth year, what do they need to know to help get them to the career?
Yeah,
that they
so
want to be in?
the education requirements are different for each stream.
Okay.
In terms of skills, all the skills will be taught here. So all the training is done in-house here. So I wouldn't worry about that. But in terms of educational requirements, I know for the TMAST and also for the cadetship, there is a requirement for a STEM subject. So you must have one of the STEM subjects.
Okay.
I don't think that's necessarily there for GSR, for
No.
general service recruitment.
No, for general service recruitment, you don't need to focus in any one specific area. But it's like that old adage: be great at what you're good at, and then work hard at what you're not great at. You know,
Yeah.
just be a good all rounder, and don't worry too much about it. Like we got a lot of people here who joined the
Thanks,
military,
Zoe.
like education or academia wasn't their path. They didn't want to go to college for that very reason. So it's not something to be too concerned about for general service recruitment. Just work hard and be a good all rounder.
Okay, super. I'm getting questions that are going to be targeted at you quite a lot.
Oh, no.
I mean, like, everybody, you if you jump in if you know the answer. I'll get to some of the questions. So we'll just go quickly through the questions, if you don't mind. So we've just gotten a couple of live questions in there now. Of course, what is the salary for the Air Corps?
Okay.
Now, this is specifically for cadets, but I think we can touch on, like, you know, all the three areas, because there's a pay scale as well, isn't there? So will we start with what? I mean, like, the best thing about joining the Air Corps really is you're earning as you train as well. So it's not that you have to do all this training first and then you start earning. You start earning from the minute you start in Gormanston.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
let's go with salary.
I won't pretend like I have all the numbers off the top of my head.
But they're also available on the
they're all on the website. However, what I can say is, as a cadet, I think the salary is approximately 20,000 a year. But your accommodation, your food, your medical care is all there. It's all provided. It's a similar situation for TMAST and for general service recruitment in terms of your food, your accommodation, your medical care. That's all provided. And then on qualifying, then the salary is obviously different as per the role. For a cadet on commissioning, the salary is approximately 45,000 straight away, depending on whether you're a school leaver or a college graduate. And then for general service recruitment, it's 38,000. I'm not certain on what it is for TMAS at the moment. Maybe the lads, would you know?
I'm not sure, but I'm not going to give
I
out
think
figures.
it's about the same.
Military.ie has all. It doesn't just have the salaries; it has all the increments as well. So you're able to see in 5 years' time what I'll be earning as well. So that's your best. And military.ie and check the careers portal is your best bet.
Yeah.
I know they do. They are asking us the
They're
nitty-gritty
right.
questions.
Yeah,
this
yeah.
morning. It's like,
Tough question.
you know, it's great,
Yeah.
really. You know, it's like, oh, can I ask these questions?
Absolutely.
Okay, so we'll get to another live one that came in there a minute ago. Sorry. Well, actually, we'll just go to the one that I literally just got handed to me. What things can you do to prepare for a cadetship? Things that will stand out to you during recruitment. I suppose, do you need a CV?
No, you don't need a CV per se. What I would say is practice the psychometric testing. So if
Okay.
you go onto the website, there's a link there for practice psychometric tests.
Yeah.
And I would definitely recommend any applicants to definitely rehearse or practice the psychometric testing because they are different to any exams you would do in school or tests you've done previously. So definitely practice them. In terms of there's a fitness test. So
Okay.
I know for the induction for all the streams, it's a 2.4 kilometer run. And I think it's in males have 11 minutes 40 seconds for male applicants, and female applicants have 13 minutes 10 seconds to
Okay.
complete that run. And then there's also 20 push-ups in a minute and 20 sit-ups in a minute.
Okay.
So that's our induction fitness test,
So
and
we
that
can
will
practice
change.
that.
So definitely practice that. Once you're in, that fitness test changes, but just for induction, that's the kind of standards. That's the bar you have to reach. So you can definitely practice that in the local park.
There's videos online as well.
There's videos on the
through
website of-
TMAST
Okay. Yeah.
exactly
Thanks,
how to
Tony.
do push-ups, exactly how to do
Exactly.
sit-ups,
Yeah.
and training plans if you need it.
There's
to
a
practice
4-week
here.
training plan there. Yeah.
4-week training plan.
Yeah. To get you
To get you
to pass the
a boot
induction.
camp to get
Yeah.
you ready for.
Self-led.
Well,
Yeah.
going back to being things to prepare, I mean, like there is an interview for each stage, for each
Mhm.
pathway, isn't there? There's
Yeah.
it's slightly different. It's to know who you are, is it?
Yeah,
so it's kind of
exactly.
like having a CV for that, but it's you. There's a questionnaire that they can fill out for
Exactly.
that stage as well.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
you really do help them along
Oh,
every
completely.
single stage, so they're
Yeah.
not just thrown out there.
The interviews are competency based. So for each of the different pathways, the candidate is emailed what the competencies are.
Okay.
So I'd recommend for all any applicants to just have 2 or 3 examples for each competency. So for example, one of the competencies might be teamwork, which is something we've spoken about earlier. If every candidate would have 1 or 2 or 3 examples of where they've demonstrated teamwork, maybe on a sports team or something through school or anything like that, and they can talk about that then in the interview. You know.
I know a lot of TYs work on Gashka now.
Yeah.
That's a massive. That's a lot about teamwork as well.
Mhm.
I've only learned really a lot about that since January. But that's a lot of teamwork. So getting involved in communities and community-based projects and stuff like that can help you as well
Massively
along
so.
the way. You know.
Massively. So all that extracurricular stuff that you do at a school shows us the type of person you are. It tells us what your hobbies, your interests are, and through that we can see what your motivation is like, and you know what your ability. Like the Gashka in particular shows a lot of people their ability to work under pressure, because there's a pressure that comes with the Gashka, a pressure to do well. There's time pressure. There's commitment to other organizations and people other than yourself. So it shows you the well-rounded person we're looking for. But the 3 competencies for general service recruitment are it's motivation, teamwork, and the ability to work under pressure. So if you were coming in for general service recruitment, they're the 3 areas that you'd really focus on. I won't steal the thunder from the TMAST guys. I'll let them talk about that and the cadetship as well.
Yeah, so the next section after the break, we will be talking to TMAS. So we don't steal the thunder from them. But if there's any technical questions, technician questions, we can answer them there. There are a few kind of cadet question based, but I think it's not just for the cadetship though as well. I think it's in general for you have glasses, so it's going to this is going towards the glasses side of thing. For people with glasses, is eye surgery allowed at all before you join? And what is the eyesight requirements for pilots?
For pilots, okay, so
I know I'm going to be talking to them later on as well, but it seems we have you here from the
there has
personnel.
been. I know when I came in, it wasn't allowed. That's a couple of years ago now. That's 9 years ago now. I know there has been a change recently on the terms and conditions in terms of what's allowed in terms of like laser eye surgery and stuff. So there are some things allowed now.
Okay.
So maybe the guys that are talking about the cadetship later on will We'll have the more up-to-date rules.
Okay, so stick around. We'll get some answers while we're off air as well. You can do some research.
Exactly.
Okay, so for its general service, how do I apply and when it's open? I know we kind of covered that earlier on, but it is just a question that came in there a couple of minutes ago. So that's open now, isn't it?
Yeah, so you can go onto the website, go onto the careers tab on the website, and you'll see the different pathways of entry into the Air Corps there, and just click onto the general service. It's recruit. Recruit is the general service pathway. Click on there, apply now, and you'll fill in the form online, and you take it from there.
Yeah, have to be 18 though.
Yes.
Or is it? So we're talking to students that are leaving school, so they're not all. They might not all be 18 yet. I know the TYs are definitely nowhere near 18 yet. But if you're kind of 17 leaving school, do you have to be 18 before you apply, or can you turn 18 during the process? Because it's not. You apply, you do the psychometric test. A week later, you're doing your fitness test. A week later, you're doing. I mean, like in an ideal world, that would be great. But there's so many applicants that come through, so it takes time to process all of this. So let's say, I wish I was still 17. Oh my gosh! And we're coming up to my leaving cert. I want to join. I'm not filling in my CAO form because I want to join the Air Corps. What would you say to them? Like, can they apply? Do they have to wait a whole year until they're 18? If it's within a short time space. Obviously.
Yeah, if it's in a short time frame, I would say apply. Essentially, you need to be 18, but on the day you start training. Okay. But you can come through the process before that.
Right.
So like you said, you don't do the psychometric test and you're in uniform on Monday morning, the following week. There is a process there. So if you're in the region of turning 18 or, in the next couple of months, for example, the cadets, while the competition is open at the moment, that training won't actually commence until, is it end of the summer, maybe August, September. So if you're going to be 18 before then, absolutely apply now and start getting through the process.
Start now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you don't just have to do your leaving cert. We just need to get you to fill in the forms while you're doing it. Is there a maximum height for applicants or a minimum height?
Maximum. For the different streams.
I'm actually reading. So this came from Closh to Aina, from Cayman Flynn's TY group.
Okay.
So normally you kind of be asked, is there a minimum height requirement? Is there a maximum? I never thought. I suppose depending on what you're going into,
there is for the pilot stream, for the cadetship, there is a maximum. That's purely so you can fit in the PC9. The PC9 has an ejection seat, so there is a kind of a minimum and a maximum height and weight. I know the maximum weight is 100 kilos. Minimum height is 5'2", as far as I remember. I'm not certain of the max height, but it's on the terms and conditions again.
We'll get that one actually answered.
You'll actually find it on the terms and conditions
for each of the competitions.
They have it there
for the cadetship. It tells you exactly what you need to be, so there's no ambiguity there.
Yeah,
and if it changes, it's updated as well instantly. So if you're unsure, it's worth your while just spending an hour on that website or half an hour
researching,
having a little look, and just for yourself, it gives yourself clarity as well.
I mean, when they're in TY, this is I know we're talking at the end of TY, and they're all going to have their ceremonies in the next couple of weeks as well. So advance congratulations to everybody for doing well in TY. But so let's say next TY groups are coming in as well, and even now that they're finishing TY, doesn't mean that they don't have to do this, but they research what you want to do. Take a little bit of time. If you didn't get the work experience, do research instead into the career paths that you want.
And reach out to us. Reach out to us. Ireland's quite small. Everybody knows everybody in a way. So if you know somebody that's in the Air Corps and you want to find out more, by all means chat to them. Or if not, TY coordinators. We do run a TY program here as well.
Yeah.
So just get in touch.
It's amazing. I actually got to do a fly on the wall for one day. It was great crack.
Brilliant.
Actually.
Brilliant.
I missed out on the helicopter flight though.
Next time.
But next time, one can dream. But the TY program that runs a couple of times a year.
Yeah.
That's for a week.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know anybody, I can't see that. when you're looking at the team and they're trying to show you something and I can't see what they've written. So that's I think that was my 10-minute cue. But we'll move on to the questions that I actually had. So the TY program, yours. Did you know somebody in the Air Corps, in the Defence Forces?
My sister was in the Army. She was
Okay.
a communications information technology specialist, so she
Okay.
worked in IT. But the Army wasn't what appealed to me.
Yeah.
As I said, my dad was a mechanic, and like this, there was a careers fair in my school, and someone from the Air Corps came out, and I just seen the helicopters, and that's different. It's interesting. Like, it just really caught my attention. And I spoke with that guy for about half an hour, and he talked me through exactly what we're chatting about here today.
Yeah.
And that just sparked my interest. Like, oh, you can actually learn to fix helicopters through the Air Corps. This is interesting. Yeah. So that's how I came here. Like, that sparked my career path.
And did you know anybody
No,
before you
actually.
joined? No. Okay. How did you find out about a career in it? Was it the same kind of...
Croke Park,
okay.
one of the old career things back in 2006 with the Reserve Defence Force at the time. Went to that and then walked up to the gate of Cottlebrough Barracks and asked could I join. They told me to come back when they were recruiting, but that's the way it was back then. But that's the way it was before. Show me age with the internet, aren't they? But it was a fairly simple process back then. Like it isn't. It's probably more streamlined now. But that's how I joined. Didn't know anyone.
Okay.
But
you didn't know anybody. Did you know anybody?
No, nobody.
No, okay.
No family or anything.
You've been outnumbered today.
There you go.
Like,
Completely.
The amount of people that you would think, like, if I know somebody, I'll get there. So you don't need to know somebody in
No,
here.
no.
Get in touch. We will have all the information for people to get in touch afterwards. Thanks so much for joining us today. I had a giggle. I hope you guys did too, because we caught some of the questions that we got. We're going to have to come back to them because there's a lot, but that we didn't get answered now. But moving along, I think when they go on to military.ie, you have an awful lot of information there for people. How to join and where to join and how to fill in the application form. So you do help everybody every step of the way. If you don't get through if you get injured during the training, can you come back?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Completely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's no like this is the end of the line for you.
No, you will be rehabilitated, put
Okay.
on different duties for a while, and then when another platoon or training inductee starts, you'll go back in with them when you're ready to go.
This is full support.
100%
The whole
from
way
physio,
I was that
doctor.
guy. I broke my arm
Oh no way!
playing a match that I probably should have been playing a match during
While you were
recruit training. Yeah.
Oh my god!
And exactly what Sergeant Lynn said. We have our physios here. We have our full medical here. Rehabilitated, rejoined with the next. Since you rejoined, I reintegrated with the next training platoon that came through, and yeah.
Fantastic.
Yep.
So you might be back a little bit, but you're still stuck out and kept on coming through. Again, thanks so much for coming. I'm going to do my little party piece at the end here. So that's the end of part 1. Thank you for joining TY Hub live here in Casement Aerodrome. We're going to take our short break now to allow for the class and teacher changes. We'll be back at 10:15. Don't worry about having to log in and log out and log back in with a new link. This is going to continuously stream. While it's streaming, there's going to be a video with some